Hey everyone, Sweet Johnny Cage here. Welcome to part 1 of 2 of the Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade episode INTERmission Yuffie DLC full playthrough walkthrough. Jesus Christ, that's a name. I want to start off by thanking Square-Enix for sending me a review code for this game. Really appreciate it. So if you've never joined me before for these sorts of walkthroughs, this is a Let's Play style walkthrough where I'm recording as I talk and as I play. So this is kind of live. You may hear a little bit of background noise, but the overall goal here is to make difficult games easier for you and to sort of guide you through it in a calm and orderly fashion. So let's get started. So with the Yuffie DLC, there's only 2 chapters. Chapter 1 has a lot of RPG elements, a lot of world building, character building, setup, systems, teaching you systems and everything. And then chapter 2 is just sort of a dungeon and a bit of a boss rush at the end. While this is a Final Fantasy game, and Final Fantasy games are very heavy on story, I'm going to be skipping all the cutscenes because this is a walkthrough. This is not meant to just sort of be a, hey, let me showcase everything in the game for you or every cutscene or anything. I'm just going to skip the story and assume that you are watching it yourself, because otherwise I'm just going to be sitting here in silence for 10 minutes at a time. So just keep that in mind. Alright, so if you have not already, you will need to install Final Fantasy VII Remake onto your console, upgrade it to Intergrade, and then purchase the Yuffie DLC. If you have the PS5 disc version, most of that is done for you. You'll just have to punch in the code for the Yuffie DLC, press R2 on the main menu, and you'll be brought here. So I have finished this before. Oh, that's funny. I thought it might say hard mode here. But basically, once you finish the DLC or the game in any respect, on hard mode, Sorry, let me clarify that. When you finish the DLC on normal, you unlock hard mode with chapter select, but that is separate from the main game. But the same does apply for the main game, where once you finish chapter 18, I think it is, on normal, you unlock chapter select and hard mode for the main game. Okay, so we're going to start on normal difficulty. Again, skipping all the cutscenes here. And before we really get started, I'm going to cover some things. So, Yuffie is the only fully controllable character of the DLC. This is all Yuffie-centric, and so we're going to cover some things here. We'll start off in the menu. You have Materia and Equipment. If you played the original Final Fantasy VII, great, you should be familiar with this, or if you played Remake before, great. If not, I'll give you a bit of a crash course on the systems here. So in the main menu, we go to Materia and Equipment, and this is where we would select our weapon, armor, and accessory. So in order to do that, you just select Yuffie, and then this is her only weapon that she starts off with. You do get 2 more throughout the DLC. We get the 4-point shuriken and a ninja armlet to start off with. We unfortunately do not have any accessories yet, so we don't have to worry about that. But you'll notice down here, we have Materia. And Materia is Final Fantasy VII's magic system. So you have these orbs, or items really, called Materia. It's a special kind of item. And each piece of Materia either has a spell on it or some sort of attribute increase or a modifier, something like that. And so the different colors of Materia represent different types of Materia. Yellow are command Materia, so these will give you a new ability. This one is Steal, and this one is Assess. So Steal allows you to steal an item from an enemy. Assess allows you to scan an enemy, learn its HP, MP, weak points, resistances, all that. Purple is Independent Materia, although I think it might be called something different in Remake, but effectively it's Independent Materia. Independent Materia is just what it sounds like. It just does things on its own. Does not matter where it's placed, what it's placed next to, nothing. It just does its own thing. So Yuffie starts off with the Parry Materia, which allows us to hold R1 in combat, and then once something is about to hit us, we can press circle to parry it, and then deals a small amount of damage to your opponent. Green is the most common kind of Materia, and these are spell Materias, or magic Materias. So Yuffie starts off with the Healing Materia. So that's kind of it. She does have a lot more Materia in her inventory, But we're really not going to worry about it. I don't use Materia much with Yuffie, aside from like healing and maybe time and barrier and stuff like that, but I really don't use much magic with her at all. And I'll explain why in a moment, once we get into combat. So the next thing I'll talk about are the weapon upgrades. So this weapon upgrade is something new to Remake. It was not in the original, but you can basically go into a weapon and then check out the sort of attributes that each weapon has. A lot of weapons share attributes in that you'll find the same attributes in different weapons, but upgrading one weapon does not affect another weapon. So you have to do this with every single weapon. So we start off with 16 skill points, and so we can choose right now 2 skills to learn because they each cost 6 skill points for this initial core here. So you can just go around the sort of universe of this core and select what you like to do. I generally always go for Mug, that's on every weapon for Yuffie, and then AP up. And the reason for this is because AP is what levels Materia. So starting off with those 2 right off the bat is just a smart idea. It allows you to scale a little bit faster. But again, it's really up to you what you want to do. So that's the weapon upgrade. Battle settings, this really is just kind of a shortcut menu. I don't use this much because I really do enjoy the tactical mode of Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I'll explain that a bit in the combat. But if you want to set shortcuts to different abilities or items, you can do that right here. Okay, enemy intel, I haven't assessed anything yet, so we can't access this menu. Spells is just a list of spells that are currently equipped to your character. Inventory, self-explanatory. There are key items, which we'll sort of get into in a little bit. But this is just a quick little look into your inventory. And then party. This is just a summary page of each of your party members. In the Yuffie DLC, you only ever have 2 party members, Yuffie and Sonon. We will explain Sonon. We'll explain Sonon in a little while. There's also the manual. This is all sorts of tips and tricks and just sort of explanations for everything in the game. And then we have save and load and system. Once you beat the DLC, chapter select will appear here in the system menu. One thing that I do recommend is changing the camera settings. So you want to change the camera distance to 3. Otherwise, it's kind of zoomed in and doesn't look great. I think it's just uncomfortable. So I set it to max at 3. It's just me, but that's a suggestion I can give to you. Okay, and then graphics, I'm playing on performance. This way it's 60 FPS. I mean, the game just looks fantastic anyway, even despite the graphics mode, you know, to the true 4K or whatever, or checkerboard, whatever it is. Performance mode is just insane. Okay, so that is pretty much everything you need to know about the menus. So, yeah, now we can just sort of get moving. So we're going to get into combat really fast here, and then I'm going to explain how things work. So we're probably going to get a little tutorial here. Yes, okay. So Yuffie has basically 2 combat modes. She has just a straight-up melee combat mode, and then she also can throw her shuriken, her weapon, and then while it's out, pressing square will cast ninjutsu, or ninjutsu. And this doesn't actually use any MP, but it does give the shuriken magical properties. So if an enemy is weak to ice, you can use ice ninjutsu, and then all the attacks from the thrown shuriken will deal ice damage. So it's just something to keep in mind. Learning enemies' weaknesses is really, really important in this game because of the stagger system. So we'll get into that here in a second. So just to show you the melee, she does have, one of her hits does pick enemies up if they're susceptible to that. So you can do it that way. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into the tactical mode by pressing X, selecting abilities, and then we're going to, well, first let's just assess, I guess. Okay, so let's assess the Toxarat. These things are going to be weak to ice. Basically, in the Yuffie DLC, any creature is more or less going to be weak to ice. Any Shinra soldier is going to be weak to fire, and any machine is going to be weak to lightning. And then anything flying is going to be weak to wind. So there's just something to keep in mind. But what we're going to do now is we're going to toss the shuriken, and then actually what I'm going to do now before we get into ninjutsu is I'm going to just cover like a really weird hidden mechanic. If you throw your shuriken onto an enemy, it will sort of just stick to it. And then you can cast Windstorm on that same enemy, and it will deal huge bonus damage. And that is never explained, I don't think, but it's just a weird hidden mechanic with Yuffie. So just throw your shuriken, cast Windstorm, and just win. That's sort of a cheap trick with her. Unsure if it doesn't seem unintentional, but it is just really strong. Okay, so let's get into the ninjutsu. Let's build up our ATB really fast. So we have 1 bar. Let's go ahead and cast Ice Ninjutsu. Lock on to one of the enemies. And then, see, you just hit the weak point. That didn't cost any MP. Nothing. It just deals bonus elemental damage. So really, really helpful. Okay. And then with the shuriken, Yuffie can also throw it in the distance and break boxes. Boxes in this game will contain items. There's also a chance that they can restore MP with Mako shards, just like it did there. So in case you're running low on MP, just go for it. Alright. And then we just press triangle to spam it on this little thing to jump over. Alright. This guy's a flyer, so what we need to do is build up our ATB. And I actually just did something that I didn't cover before, which I need to rectify. So if you toss your shuriken and then press triangle, you will snap to the shuriken to recover it. So that's a quick way to get around, get out of situations, as well as for a mini game later on that'll help you solve it really fast. So anyway, we're gonna cast Wind Ninjutsu, start going on the Lesser Drake with our shuriken, just to kind of get things moving. It's gonna stagger, and with stagger, the enemy is basically incapacitated for a short period of time while that meter is running, and then you can basically just deal a ton of damage. Alright, so what we just did was we leveled up our weapon, and we learned the Elemental Ninjutsu ability. So what that means is, let's go to Materia and Equipment, go to the 4-point shuriken. So I didn't cover this before because it's a little complicated, but every weapon has a unique ability, and it's showcased here on the right. So for the 4-point shuriken, it's Elemental Ninjutsu. And you level an ability by using it. And once you learn that ability, it is permanently learned by that character. So it's kind of similar to Final Fantasy VI's Magicite system, wherein you equip the Magicite, you learn the spells over time, and then once they are learned, they are forever on that character, regardless of the Magicite. The weapon ability system in Final Fantasy VII Remake works the exact same way. So you equip a weapon, use the unique ability on that weapon a bunch of times, you'll learn it, and then you keep it for every other weapon. So, alright, cool. Moving on. I always sort of get lost right here. Played this like several times now. Oh, here we go. Alright. One thing that I should cover here is that you can press X at any time in the field, and then you can actually cast restorative magic at any time. So just keep that in mind. One thing that I do want to tell you about is, even though this is not a guide for hard mode, I do have guides for hard mode specifically. Hard mode is balanced around max level 50, and you cannot use items. So you need to be very, very frugal with your magic usage, because you can't restore your MP either because you can't use items. And benches in hard mode, which are basically rest points, do not restore MP. So you gotta be very, very smart with what you're doing. Okay, so we're gonna skip the cutscene here with the Genova clone guy, or Sephiroth clone guy. And then the elevator's stuck, so we need to throw our shuriken to the switch. And then the elevator will come down. Great job.
I never cease to amaze myself.
Okay. And the gate opens and we're just going to take it right back up. Cool. So like I was saying, hard mode is balanced around max level, and it's also balanced around not being able to use items. So becoming very familiar with the combat and very like confident in your combat abilities during normal mode is really, really important. Looks like the ninjutsu is just messing him up really well because of the lifting properties, so that's nice. You need to waste time on that.
Well, can't fault him for trying.
Okay. Alright, so we're gonna come over here. Alright, we're gonna throw the shuriken, activate that elevator, and then we're actually gonna come over here. I could have done this from either side, but this is gonna activate that elevator, which is gonna allow us to climb down here and grab an item. Yes, so there's a chest back here. Let's give this 2 high potions. Wonderful. And then we can take this elevator up. Alright, there's a materia waiting for us over here. Oh, I forgot to go over blue type materia. Whoops. Anyway, I think it's an HP up or something. This is an HP up. Alright, let me quickly go over blue materia. I can't remember the category of materia that blue is, but basically, blue materia should be linked with other materia. Otherwise, it kind of defeats its purpose. So you'll notice here, in Yuffie's weapon and armor, these 2 materia slots are linked to each other, and then you have a third one over here that's just sort of on its own. And so if you were to, let's just go ahead and change this really fast. So, swapping these over here. Let's just say you have fire materia, and then you link it with synergy materia. You'll see that this slot now gets highlighted, and that means that that link is active. So synergy materia allows an ally to follow the leader's attack command with an attack from linked materia. So I don't really like synergy materia. I've really never used it. But basically what it does is if somebody casts lightning, if the party leader casts lightning, then another character in the party will cast whatever spell is linked with synergy materia. So it's good for like magic builds, but I just don't really like it, so I don't use it. But that's how linking materia works, and especially blue materia. Blue materia is really the only kind that you're going to be linking with, and otherwise it's just kind of pointless to use. Anyway, let's put this back to deadly dodge and parry. So that's all the materia types. Okay, we can slide down this pole, and then we'll go up this ladder. And then we can now leave this part of the factory. Okay.
Yeesh, this town's a total dump. I thought Midgar was supposed to be the marvel of the modern world.
There's a chest back here.
False advertising. City of Mako? City of Gar...
Now we got the power wrist guards, which is an accessory that increases strength by 5%, so go ahead and equip those. Great job. But you know what I should do? I have an empty slot. Let's go ahead and put that HP up that we found.
Gotcha!
Okay. Walk up this ladder now. Oh my god, ladders in this game are like insane. Okay. Walk along these rooftops, and we can jump down here. And then Yuffie will see one of the Sephiroth clones getting harassed in the distance, but she doesn't know it's a Sephiroth clone, so it's gonna be time to help this poor man. And so let's go up here. And then we effectively have to find a way across, so we're gonna use the shuriken to sort of break the environment a little bit. We're gonna go up another level. Okay, and you can see a piece of green materia in the distance there, so we are going to get that.
Now to save the day.
Drop that right there. And we're not going to get it right away. We've got to do a little bit of platforming before it's accessible. Let's jump over here. Okay, then jump over here again.
Have no fear. Yuffie's here. Okay. Get lost!
I got some pretty good dodges there. Go in front. These guys are just fairly weak to melee. So that throw clamp ability can and will bind you. And what that means is you won't be able to attack, and then you basically just have to spam dodge to get out of the bind. They can be very deadly. You have to be very, very careful when enemies bind you. But luckily, you can just dodge most of those attacks. Okay, so now that we've rescued that man with no thanks, let's go ahead and walk over here, and then we can grab this spell materia, or magic materia that we saw earlier. Alright. Well, go up this ladder. I don't even know what kind of materia this is. Time? Wind. Okay, great. Like I said, I really don't use much magic in the DLC because of the elemental ninjutsu. It's just so strong. Okay. So now we're gonna go to this like little junkyard alley that, believe it or not, you go through with Cloud in the beginning of the main adventure. Don't forget this chest for 1,000 gil. Okay. I love the big scenic panoramic shots that Yuffie has. I will also say the load times in the Yuffie DLC are incredible. I mean, they're much improved, even in the main adventure and in the Intergrade update. But it's crazy when you go from one to the other, from Intergrade to the DLC. You can really tell how different the loading is, because cutscenes like aren't broken. They're not like broken up in the DLC like they are in the main adventure. Okay, so we're gonna go along this path here, Scrap Boulevard. Because there's a little cave over here with a treasure in this little alcove here. Great. That's some MP up materia, and we can basically just backtrack. I don't think there's anything here, but I always like to make sure. This is this is ground that you have to tread a bunch of times with Cloud in the main adventure. So I can never really remember like what's here with Cloud versus what's here with Yuffie, but nothing. Okay, very good. Okay, so now we're gonna head into the Sector 7 slums, and yet another place that you walk through a ton with Cloud. These boxes, okay, and then the entrance is right over here. So there's a lot going on in the Sector 7 slums. We're going to skip the cutscenes. I'll try to point some things out to you, but we have a bunch of side questing to do while we're here before we even get into the main mission. You can skip all of this, but a lot of the side quest is just playing Fort Condor. And Fort Condor is a really fun minigame, actually. I like it a lot. I'm just going to like mute this dialogue here for a moment, just because talking over her is kind of annoying. Basically, Fort Condor is a minigame unique to the Yuffie DLC. If you have not played the original game, please do. It's a fantastic game. But Fort Condor is actually a location in the world. And so you do go there in the original game, but they decided to sort of make a minigame out of it here in the Yuffie DLC, which is quite fun. Okay, so purple chests, and I will unmute once we sort of get away from people, but purple chests have weapons in them. So if you ever see a purple chest, open it. Or if you can't figure out a way to get to it, figure out a way to get to it, because it has a weapon. 100% of the time, purple chests have weapons. So this is Yuffie's boomerang. Once that goes away, we can go to the menu. And so we can change this 4-point shuriken out to the boomerang. And I do recommend using the boomerang because it has Brumal form, which allows you to evade an attack in exchange. If you successfully evade the attack, you gain ATB, which is really important. Let's go ahead and equip that, but don't forget, weapons need to be upgraded because every time you gain skill points, the skill points apply to every single weapon in your inventory. or in that character's inventory, I should say. So anytime you find a new weapon, you're going to have to upgrade it right away. So luckily, this core has Mug as well as AP up. So make sure you learn those first. Okay, great. All right, cool. So Fort Condor has sort of been turned into a mini-game of sorts, or they created a mini-game based on the location in the world. And we're going to play it in this walkthrough. So Fort Condor can be tough if you're not familiar with the strategies. I do have a Fort Condor guide for both normal and hard mode. In case you need help with that, you can just check out that guide. I'll link it in the description below. But since this is a full playthrough walkthrough, and because so much is kind of tucked behind Fort Condor in terms of money, really. Money's pretty important in normal mode because you want to be able to buy accessories and armor and stuff like that and materia. So I am going to play it. But there are some really cheap strategies that you can employ. Yeah. So unfortunately, some of these cutscenes aren't actually cutscenes, which can be kind of frustrating. So you kind of just have to match circle to skip it. Okay, so let's play some Fort Condor, and I'll unmute this now. All right. So Fort Condor is like a rock, paper, scissors kind of game. And if you played the original game, the sort of gameplay of it should be kind of familiar to you. It's a little similar. But basically, it's rock, paper, scissors. So if you look on this screen here, you see headquarters, outpost, and then underneath outpost, in between outpost and guard dog, you have the guide for the game. So shield beats sword, sword beats bow, bow beats shield. So that basically means that not elite, the defensive, the defense units beat the attack units beat the range units, and the range units beat the defense units. It's just one way to look at it. So the idea behind Fort Condor is to push the line of scrimmage, this blue line, into your opponent's base and take out their towers. So I'm going to go ahead and just wait for him to put down a unit, and then we're just going to go on the opposite side. I'm going to start off with a blast ray just because it has a decent amount of HP, and it is a defensive unit. And then this is just going to slowly move up, move up, move up, move up. And then I unfortunately don't have... Oh, I do have a range unit, so let me go ahead and plop our Grenadier down here, and then that will take out the big guy. Great. And then I also have a guard dog, and the guard dog will it'll ignore units and go straight for towers. So we're going to place the guard dog here. That is going to really quickly just deal a ton of damage to this turret here. And we're going to put down another blast ray here. Okay. Okay, that turret is down. Very good. So let's go ahead and put down a Grenadier here. And then I'm also going to cast Fire. And then I'm going to cast Cure on my units here. And then that's probably the ball game there. Yep, there you go. So that is the tutorial. Guard dogs are really strong. They ignore everything but turrets. So they just go right through and are great for pushing up the line of scrimmage. And then you just want to sort of put down units to attack the towers. So for beating Polk here in the tutorial, we get 1 Condor coin, which can be used to purchase more Fort Condor units and boards. And we also get the Sentry Gun prototype unit to use in future games. I'm going to mute this dialogue again, just because there's so much of it. And again, we'll play a lot more Fort Condor in a little bit, once we sort of get out of this little Avalanche HQ hideout room. So we get Sorcerer Board 1, as well as the Helitrooper, just for kind of completing that quest. Alright, Billy Bob is going to tell us about the portable VR unit that somebody in town has. And if you played the main adventure, you know that that's Chadley. And Chadley has a VR mission unique to Yuffie, and that is for the Ramuh summon, or Ramuh summon. I'm not really sure how you're supposed to pronounce that, but we're going to wait to get the Ramuh summon until we get Sonon in our party. There's no point in not waiting unless you just want the challenge. But Sonon gets in the party pretty quick and just makes that a lot easier to do. Okay, great. So now that everybody's done talking, we can finally leave. And then we are just going to go around and play everyone in Fort Condor. But before we do that, we need to do a side quest. We don't really need to do it, but it's just easier. We're going to do this side quest for the Happy Turtle Salesman fellow. And he needs us to find 6 Happy Turtle flyers. And I'll turn the audio back on here in a second, but there's just so much talking. If you play the original game, this quest was in the original game, but was just different. And so it's nice that they put it in here, because it's just nice that they did this. That's all I'm trying to say. So let's go to the inventory. And if you go to your key items, you get the list of flyer clues. So for the first one, some kids hid one somewhere. Number 2, it's floating through the air. Number 3, near Old Snapper's friend's apartment building. Number 4, a cat took one on Culvert Street. Number 5, on the town bulletin board. And then number 6, near the old Talager factory. Okay, so number 1 is actually right here. Just push past these boxes and then you can get the flyer. That's number 1. Then number 2 is going to be down this little alleyway here. Near Wedge, who we will play in Fort Condor in a little while. Really important though, right near Wedge is a chest, and this contains the Riot Trooper Barracks unit for Fort Condor. So we want to tuck back here, and then we can throw our shuriken at this big turtle balloon, and then that'll knock off the flyer. There you go, so that's number 2. And then number 3, what was number 3? Number 3 was the apartment. Okay, so on the way to the apartment, actually, not just yet. So we're going to go to the apartment, and that's going to be over here. Before we do that, though... Oh, God, come on, Kyrie. Before we do that, though, we're going to tuck in here to get a piece of blue materia that we walked by a little earlier. It's just through here. Okay. This is the warding materia. Okay. Unfortunately, the sort of dialogue vomit of the townsfolk still persists in Intergrade. They didn't seem to fix it. Maybe they will in Remake Part 2, but basically, if you go by, like, a bunch of villagers anywhere, or a bunch of townsfolk, like, the dialogue just flies up the screen. Anyway, okay, so number 3 is up here. But it is guarded by a dog. And we basically just have to wait for this dog to, like, fall asleep. And then we can just move from box to box. Alright, so just wait for it to lay down. There you go. It will sort of fool you, though, because it does have a similar animation to laying down, where it's just looking in a different direction. You only want to move 1 box at a time. You don't want to move any further than that, because you do not have enough time. Yeah, see, that's just the turning around animation. It looks like the laying down animation, but it's not. Should do it here, though. Great job. Okay, I'm just got to do it one more, but there's actually a little hidden hazard here. That broom and bucket, you can knock it down, and it will wake up the dog. So you got to be very careful and just skirt around that. And the flyer is just past it. Very good. Should be able to get this. I think that's enough time. Great, so smash triangle. You'll get newsletter number 3. Mara will tell you about the Merc, aka Cloud.
Merc's built a wall. He'll never stand that out.
Alright, come on, come on, come on.
But I'm all good now.
Okay, great. So that's number 3. Number 4, we have to go to the little cat area, which is going to be over here.
I heard that one time.
Oh, and I get my hands on those
Did I go too far? No, I didn't go far enough. This little hideaway confuses me a lot of the time, believe it or not. I kind of like forget where I have to go. Okay, there we go. Great. So we're going to come up here. just to show you on a map, just because like I sort of wandered around there. We're going right here. This area right here. So the cat is over here. It's gonna tuck into this little alleyway where I think there was a side quest in the main adventure, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so there's a lot of cats in this little area that have various pieces of paper, but the one that we are looking for is right here. I do like how the song title is Happy Turtle Jingle, but there's really like 8 of them. Like there's so many different Happy Turtle jingles, it's weird.
Flyer acquired.
Okay, so that's number 4. Don't forget this chest here. There you go. 2 high potions, and then we can leave. And then number 5 is going to be on the town bulletin board. And then number 6 has some combat associated with it. So before we actually leave here, we're going to go to a really important vendor, for Fort Condor at least. I'm not sure if he sells it on normal difficulty. He does not. Okay, so on hard mode, this gentleman will sell a couple of Fort Condor units. Although I'm not sure if it's on hard or just when you complete Chapter 1, or come back at the end of Chapter 1. Anyway, that's okay. So, we are going to head towards the town exit, and believe it or not, flyer number 6 is brought to your attention before flyer number 5. So, once we move up here, somebody's going to tell us that some kids are, going nuts for a flyer. We can just skip this dialogue, but number 6 is through there, so we'll return in a moment. And hey, look who's here. It's Roche, which is hilarious. Okay, so number 5 is behind this little poster here.
You thought you could.
All right, so that's number 5, and now let's go for number 6, which is in the Taliger factory. Taliger? I don't know. I don't know what a Taliger is. Let me look that up really fast. Let's learn this together. Taliger. A tax or toll gatherer, mentioned by Chaucer. Okay, so it's just a literary term. I guess it's not a real word. I mean, all words are real, but you know what I mean. Okay, so in the abandoned Taliger factory, there's quite a bit to do, and so we're gonna do all that. All right, this place is not really a maze. There's just like a lot going on, so we're gonna choose a really specific route here. And there's a bench here, along with a piece of materia. So go ahead and grab that. I think it's prayer. Chakra. Right. All right, so go ahead and rest on the bench. Really tucked away Easter egg here. In the original game, there were save crystals. These were the save points. You had to save at a save point or on the world map. And the save crystals were a question mark. And if you look on the left side of the bench there, that's the question mark from the save crystal. So it sort of does the same thing. Okay, so this little room is a little difficult. So I recommend locking on to the Tapsicult. And then once you get your ATB, go ahead and cast Wind Ninjutsu. Don't forget to keep blocking, because these things just deal a ton of damage. It's pretty crazy. But luckily, if you can get them both kind of together, you can deal a ton of damage to each of them. Yeah. Alright, cool. Now we got it in a pressure situation here. Alright, great. And we can take out the Toxarat really fast. Wonderful. And now we're level 26 and we gained 8 SP. Alright. Yeah, okay. Let's go over here really fast. Come in here. I'm checking to see if there's a treasure in here, because there is one on hard mode, and I'm just curious. Yeah, there should be. Okay, so in the corner here, you see a picture of Stamp. Stamp is guarding a treasure chest. This might be a Fort Condor unit. Yes, this is the mono drive unit for Fort Condor. I wasn't sure if this is only here on hard mode, but it's not. Okay, very good. So let's go back in here, because we have to sort of walk through a specific tunnel. Right, great, so back in this little room here. Run through this tunnel, and then we're going to come out over here. Couple more Terpsichore's. I recommend fighting them in the warehouse. If you fight in the hallway, they may start running away. It's just sort of it's like an evade area, so you gotta be careful. Oof. Next, that's some big damage. Take out this Terpsichore, and it should target the other one. Oh, throw the shuriken. Oh, perfect block there. So if you block at the perfect time, you'll take no damage, which is really quite helpful. Okay. Let's go ahead and cast Cura just to restore. Alright, so these guys are weak to ice, so you know the drill by now. Throw your shuriken, build up some ATB. Unfortunately, they do deal poison. But once you have the ATB, go ahead and cast Ice Ninjutsu. Alright, then hopefully this one will come around. No such luck. I am just trying to evade as much as I can. Yeah, that's why. Because they will cast these cobwebs, and then, you know, it's not great. So, once they're staggered, you can do a bunch of different things. Let's just cast Art of War. Cast it again. It just deals a really decent amount of damage. And then just keep laying into it. Eventually it'll go down. That's one. And then we just keep doing the same thing over here. So, like I said, when you know the weak points of enemies, they just become a total face roll. Like, you don't have to evade, you don't really have to do much, you just kind of keep going after them. And that's really the way it goes. So, we're just building this pressure, listening to the great tunes. Let's go ahead and cast Windstorm. Oh, you know what we should do? We should throw the shuriken and cast Windstorm. Oh, look at all that damage. Alright, let's go down here in a second. Boom, alright. So, don't forget this materia. MP up. First Strike. First Strike is a really good materia. Let's go ahead and equip that. First Strike allows you to... it gives you like a lot of ATB at the start of a fight. This way you can attack almost immediately. But the final flyer is back here. And then when you collect the final flyer, you will have the option to get teleported back to Old Snapper. And doing this in order allows you to just like leave this big combat area very quickly. Let me go ahead and mute this, just so we don't have to hear all the dialogue. I hope it's muting. I'm doing this in my capture software. I normally never do this. Alright. So I think he gives you the Magnify Materia. Yes, he does. So the Magnify Materia is incredibly strong. So what Magnify does is, if you play the original Final Fantasy VII, this is very similar to the All Materia in that Alright, let me just show it to you. So let's go to Materia, and then let's put a spell here on Deadly Dodge. Let's put Fire, and then Magnify. So if we link a spell, or Magic Materia, with the Magnify Materia, basically it causes that magic to bounce between enemies. And so this is really, really strong for like groups of enemies, but it's also really helpful for healing. You can link the healing materia with Magnify, and that will allow you to heal both your party members with one cast. Be aware, though, that when it is magnified, the effect of the spell or the healing is less when it reaches the other person. So it's not like if you heal Yuffie for 2,000, Sonon's going to get healed for 2,000. It's more like 2,000 and 1,400 or something like that. So, and the more you level up the Magnify Materia, the better that gets. So we're more or less done with combat for the most part here. So I'm going to go ahead and swap healing over here and put Magnify there, because we are going to need to use that. Okay, so because we beat Pulk, we have one Condor coin, and we can spend that on either a Shock Trooper or the Sentry Ray. I'm not going to do either. But basically, you spend your Condor coins with Old Snapper for more Fort Condor units. And so we are now going to play Fort Condor. So we're going to do this in a particular order. We are going to fight Kairi first. She is just like the easiest one to fight. She does charge you a few gil to play her, though. Great. All right, and so let's take a look at our boards. I already know how to edit layout, so we're going to press triangle to edit our layout. We're actually going to check our board, though. All right, so the Sorcerer board is pretty powerful. It has 2 offensive Materia spells. So if we... how do we check this? Materia. Square. Okay, so we have Blizzard and Arrow. So spells can be cast on towers. So we can sort of like Zerg Kairi really fast. Nope, I don't want to quit. But let's just check the loadout here. The mono drive I don't really like. I'm going to go ahead and get a Riot Trooper in there. And then we're just going to go for it. Alright, so at the start of the match, I'm not going to waste any time. I'm just going to cast my spells on her back turret. Okay, and then we're going to put... I'm going to wait just a second here. Okay, so I wanted to get near a decent amount of ATB. Alright, so we are going to let the line of scrimmage move up, and then we're going to drop a Grenadier here. That is going to attack the main base, and then we're going to put a Slug Ray here. Actually, I'm going to put a Riot Trooper here instead. Oh, I forgot he was melee. I thought he was ranged. It was kind of a mistake. Basically, you can see that my general idea here is to just Zerg the turret really fast. Yeah, okay, that didn't last too long. That's okay. That's just sort of the general idea, so let's just wait for some more units here. I'm going to go ahead and take out the other thing. Okay, so let's send out a guard dog. And then... okay here. So I normally do this with a level 2 sorcerer board. Let's put out the Grenadier, and then we will also put out a Slug Ray. Just so we can deal some decent damage here. Yeah, this is good. Great, so that's Kairi. No big deal. Alright, so we got the Elite Security Officer and 2 Condor coins. And basically what we have to do is we have to beat all level 1 opponents. So Kairi is one of them. And then there's the Shinra Middle Manager. And then there is also Johnny. So let's fight the Shinra Middle Manager. He's over here. We'll fight Johnny afterward.
Sorry. My daughter's been done. But first, I have...
That game wouldn't...
You will? Oh.
Yes. Okay, so we fight all the rank 1 opponents, then 2, then 3, then the Grandmaster. Alright, so we're going to stick with the Sorcerer board. It's just a good board. And we're going to do the same exact strategy. We're just going to Zerg with spells. Okay, we're going to wait a second. Going to send out a Helitrooper. Just going to make things a little easier on myself here. Put out the Grenadier, and then I'll also put out Slug Ray here as well. Oh god, it went after the sentry instead of the tower. Sometimes that happens. It's okay. We'll just wait, a couple more ATB charges. We'll send out a guard dog. We'll do it all over again. Actually, we could just do it with a Helitrooper. That's probably better. Helitrooper will last longer. Okay, so we got the Helitrooper. They're going to take out a turret. That's okay. Should be okay with this. Put out the Grenadier. Put out the security officer as well. And we'll put out the slug ray. And then a couple hits and that should go down. Oh no. Oh, what are you doing, buddy? Okay, the Grenadier should hopefully take care of it. Great. So that is the Shinra Middle Manager. So we got the Elite Grenadier, 2 Condor coins. So the Elite Grenadier is really important.
Well, what do you...
Starting to get the hang of
Losing on purpose. If I can let my...
Boo.
I love that boo. That's so funny. Alright. Cool. So let's go fight Johnny now. Johnny can be found down this alleyway here.
Who am I? Like some kind
Okay.
What? Huh?
So Johnny's our last level 1 opponent.
Yeah, like...
Sorry to burst.
What? Over my life's on the line.
Come on. There we go. Great. Alright, so Sorcerer board, yep. But let's change out the Slug Ray for the Elite Grenadier. Actually, no. Let's leave in the Slug Ray. That's a good cheap one. Let's just change out the Riot Trooper for the Elite Grenadier. Okay, so Johnny is really weak. He's also using a Sorcerer board. He's using the level 2 Sorcerer board, though. That's okay. Alright, so let's go ahead and cast these 2 spells here. And as you can see, it deals really, really big damage to his turret there. Alright, so once you're at 5... I hate having to go from this angle. Okay. I don't want to get overwhelmed here, and I don't want to waste time. So let's go ahead and put out the Helitrooper. And then if this can get to the middle... No, I'm not gonna waste his time with that. Ugh. Yikes. Damn, that was sadly really fast. Okay, I think I'm gonna wait for that thing to die over there. Let's put out the guard dog. Maybe it'll die before it gets there. Yes, it will. Nice. Great. Okay, then we can put the Elite Grenadier here. Ugh, come on, Johnny. Why you gotta do me like that? Okay, put out the Helitrooper. Just trying to make sure my buildings aren't gonna totally collapse. Okay, then once we're here, go ahead and drop the Grenadier. Put out a Slug Ray just to kind of abate the damage. Oh my god, the blizzard hit it. This kind of sucks. I don't know. I don't know if we're actually going to make this here. We're in a pretty bad spot. Okay. Try this again. I'm going to wait another second for 5 ATB. I just want to time this correctly here. Alright, put out the guard dog. Hopefully this moves fast enough. Ugh, damn, he won. Okay, we'll try that again. I may, like, have to do this the real way. Let me get rid of the Elite Grenadier. That's kind of wasting time. No, I guess it's really not. Alright, let's try this again. I was hoping that 4 Condor would not give me any problems, but once you get Sorcerer board too, it gets a lot easier. Alright, so I'm going to hold off on my spells for a second here. Alright, so we're going to put out a Helitrooper just to move it like a little bit more slowly. Yeah, I really want to like kind of... Ah, damn it. Can I hit both of these with arrow? Nah, probably not. Alright, let's do the guard dog here. That sentry gun should die. Go to the Elite Grenadier. Damn. Oh, huge damage there. That was very nice. Okay, I'm going to wait for 5 ATB. Okay. Send out the Helitrooper. That turret's probably going to go down. That's okay. Okay, then we're going to put the Grenadier here. And then I'm also going to try to drop a guard dog really fast. Yeah, that should be enough. Alright, so that's Johnny. That took a couple attempts there. That's okay, though. Let's go with the Elite Riot Trooper, some Condor coins. And I think he gives you Sorcerer Board 2, believe it or not. Yes, so we get the Sorcerer Board 2 from Johnny, which is really strong. Before we do much, though, with the level 2 opponents, I want to visit Old Snapper. See if he has anything I'm interested in. The answer is no. Yeah, not really. Okay. Alright, so now we can fight level 2 opponents. The first one of which is going to be Jesse. And then we will fight Roche as well. So Jesse can be found here at 7th Heaven. Really interesting thing, though. If you try to go in the bar, something happens. If you have not played the full adventure, I will not tell you what that is. But if you know what that is, I think it's a great little Easter egg and a great way to treat Yuffie as a DLC. Okay, so let's fight Jesse. And we're going to use Sorcerer Board number 2. And then we're going to change out the Elite Security Officer for an Elite Grenadier. And then we have the Guard Dog, the Grenadier, and then I think I'm okay with everything else. Yep. Okay, so Sorcerer Board 2 has 3 spells, which is very helpful. So right off the jump, go ahead and cast your 3 spells. And then she's already down to like no health. It also has a lot more ATB charges, which is just like hilariously helpful. Let's go ahead and put out the Guard Dog once you have 6. And then we're going to put an Elite Grenadier like right in the base's face. Great. Alright, and then hopefully we can get to 2 really fast. Yep, put out another Grenadier, and then that's going to be it for Jesse. Bing, bang, boom. 30 seconds, Jesse's down. And now it's time for Roche. It's going to go much the same way for Roche. Yuffie is so sick. They did such an amazing job with her. Alright, so let's go back to the town bulletin board so we can play against Roche. I thought the way they did for Condor here with like playing different like key villagers and key NPCs was a great way to like bring back Roche and Jesse and Wedge, like other people. Okay, so this is Roche. He's still a crazy person. Okay, come on, come on. Yes, okay. So we're going to do the same exact strategy against Roche. Nothing changes. He has the assassin board, so he can move pretty quick. He has quick ATB there. Oh, right. I forgot Roche dies right away. That's so funny. Yeah, Roche dies really fast. So just the spells will do it. Get the Elite Helitrooper. And now we can fight level 3 opponents. We also get Battalion Board 2. There's only one rank 3 player, and that is Wedge. So let's go over to him. And then after Wedge, it's the Grandmaster, which is Chadley. So Wedge can be found in this little section over here near his house with his cats. Alright. Alright, so he uses a battalion board of his own, which can be quite strong, but never fear. He uses level 3 battalion board, which has quick ATB, or decently quick ATB, and a lot of slots. So, alright, so just cast your 3 spells right off the jump, and then just wait to see what he puts down. Sometimes he'll wait for you. Okay, so he put out a helicopter, which kind of sucks. So we're going to let that helicopter move, and then we're going to put down our guard dog. And then the helicopter should ignore... Yes, it ignores the guard dog, which is helpful. And then we're going to put down an elite grenadier here, and then another grenadier here. Yes, and that is Wedge. So yeah, waiting for the helicopter to fly by, this way you don't just immediately get clipped by it, is really helpful. Okay, so defeating Wedge, we are now able to fight the Grandmaster. And the Grandmaster is Chadley. Chadley is a really tough opponent, and you need to angle your spells against Chadley, because he will... he basically puts up barracks right away, which can be tough. Alright, so this is Chadley. He has... Chadley has... Chadley has his VR mission, and he also has Fort Condor. Oh my god, I keep doing that. I'm like just trying to master his dialogue. Okay, so let's go to Fort Condor. And the same strategy applies, but we just have to be a bit more careful with what we're doing. So on hard mode, he puts up barracks right in front of the base. Let's see if he does it on normal. I kind of can't remember. If he doesn't, we're just going to go after him. Okay, yes, so he's going to put out a unit right away. Right. So we're going to let these kind of move. His ATB fills up really fast, though, so we have to be careful. Okay, so put out your guard dog. Everything should kind of ignore it. And then same strategy. Put down your elite grenadier, your regular grenadier, and cast your 3 spells. Boom, and that's Chadley. Whew, that was kind of close. Those guys almost died. But we get the AP up materia, which allows us to level up materia faster. It's a linked materia. And then we get 10,000 gil and 4 Condor coins. And then you'll also get a trophy for doing this as well. Okay. So that is Fort Condor. That's the general cheap strategy. That'll get you through really fast. And now that that's done, your Chapter 1 side quests are basically finished. So it's time to go back to the hideout. And then once we go downstairs, we will meet Sonon, who is our other party member. And Sonon's combat is quite interesting. So he walks down here, starts a cutscene, which we're going to skip. Okay, so Sonon has joined the party. So what we're going to do is we're going to check out his weapons. And like I said, weapons, they level up right away. Let's go ahead and upgrade his weapons. Sonon's stats are mostly cooperative stats. You cannot control Sonon, but you can synergize with Sonon. And it's best to sort of... it's best to explain that when we get to it. So let's go attack power +5. So we're basically going to leave Sonon alone for now. And then I will explain him as we go. So what we're going to do now is we are going to rest really fast. Okay, we're going to rest really fast, and then we're going to follow Homegirl, and she's going to get us our IDs, and this is just going to bring us around to a quick little combat encounter. There she is.
You guys all set?
Yes, I'm all set.
Okay, streets are kind of a mess.
All right, let me mute this because she talks the whole time. So like I said, Sonon is a cooperative party member in that you cannot actually control him, but you can use his abilities. So basically, you can't just switch to him and auto-attack like you can with the party members of the main story. Instead, he builds up his own ATB, and then you can press L2 to synergize with him. And basically, that's similar to like Chrono Trigger in that there are certain abilities that you can use when synergized. And these abilities are basically enhanced versions of Yuffie's existing abilities. So you have a synergized Art of War, which is just like a big team attack that deals a lot of damage. And you have synergized Windstorm, which is a team attack that builds stagger and also increases the stagger multiplier. So we'll be using synergized Windstorm a good deal throughout the game to just sort of overwhelm enemies and stagger them really fast. But Sonon's ATB does not build. It builds a lot slower, but it basically doesn't build at all while synergized. So you need to sort of toggle it on and off intelligently. All right. Come on. All right, so you get a little cutscene with Barrett and Tifa and Biggs and Wedge, or Wedge and Jesse. We're gonna skip that for now. Just sort of gives you the time frame of when you're here. And so now we are aware that we are here after the Sector 5 reactor bombing, when Cloud has seemingly gone missing and may have died. We know that to not be the case, but Avalanche does not know that. And so that's like a nice way to put it. It's just like they're very worried about him. We've never seen them here while Cloud was away. We never got this sort of perspective. So that's very nice. But Yuffie, of course, cannot interact with them. Otherwise, that would break the timeline. You'd have a paradox. If you rest there or visit the vending machine, Nayo sort of gives you some lip for it, which I think is funny. All right, so we're going to come up here against some Corneo lackeys. And then once you're ready, we're just going to go for it here. I am going to assess them because I can't remember if they're weak to anything. All right, skip this, skip this, skip this, skip this, skip this. Come on. All right. Cool. All right. Skip this. Right. All right, so let me just assess these guys real fast. They're weak to fire. Okay. Great. So like I said, you cannot control Sonon. He's going to do his own thing. He builds his own ATB. Now that he is synergized, we can press L2 to synergize, and then we are going to use Synergize Windstorm on this middle lackey. This way it lifts all of them up, and then we're going to unsynergize and then just kind of start attacking. We're going to re-synergize just because this guy's getting pressured, and that's really easy damage, and they do a really cool like up and down jumping animation, which is a lot of fun. Alright, let's do Synergize Windstorm again, just really quickly clean these guys up. Okay, and that's that. That's the fight. So you get a Chthonian armlet, or a Chthonian armlet for your trebles, which is a decent piece of armor. Okay, great. Let me mute this again. Alright, yeah, so Fort Condor is really the thing that takes up the most time in this chapter. If you're just skipping that, like, it's crazy. This chapter's actually so short. Just a few combat encounters before you get to the little outdoor dungeon area. Alright, so we're going to walk in here, pick up the ID cards, and then we can leave. And I'm just keeping this muted just because they talk a lot. Alright, so there is a chest over here that we're going to grab. Great. Probably unmute them. Okay, so the Kindred Cord is it's an accessory. I advise putting it on Sonon because it's something you can kind of like set it and forget it. It reduces the ATB cost for synergized abilities. Very, very helpful. Okay, and then of course we have the bench if you need to rest again. If not, no worries. Okay, so now that we have both of our ID cards, we can go ahead and head to the train station. I'm going to mute this just because they talk a lot here. So we need to try to find out where Zhijie is. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. They gave them like very good names, but they're hard to pronounce. A lot of Asian representation in this DLC, actually, which is fantastic. So Zhijie is sort of getting hounded by some Shinra guards, and so he's going to lead them on a merry chase. And basically, that's the mission of Chapter 1, is to rescue Zhijie. And that culminates in a boss fight. I'm leaving this muted for now, just because, again, there's so much talking. Which is a nice kind of way to do it in Remake. You know, in the original game, you just sort of sat there and went through dialogue boxes and just read a lot, which is fine. The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past helped me learn how to read as a child, so like I'm not against it. But in a modern game, it's, you know, with full voice acting and everything, it's interesting to see how they do it. And this sort of like constant running dialogue is very nice. All right, so there's a chest here. I think this is a weapon for Sonon, which is hilarious because we just got him. But yeah, it's the Indurate staff. We're not going to use that just yet because Sonon has some abilities that I want to learn off of his initial staff, so we'll change that a little later. Okay, so now that we are back, we can actually start adventuring properly. Okay. So we're going to come down here, and then Zhijie is sort of in the distance there. Okay, so you're going to notice me sort of spinning the camera around a little bit. That's just because I'm trying to always like get my bearings all the time and check for any chests that I might be missing. Okay, we can hop right across these, and then we have these little Cripshay guys here. Okay, go ahead and check Sonon's abilities. Swirling Storm, I believe, is the weapon ability for this one. You gotta let him fill his own ATB, which can be kind of frustrating. It literally just means doing nothing. Shit. I was trying to get the shuriken off of him, but of course it was gonna send him flying. Alright, so we can throw our shuriken at the switch there. That stops the conveyor belt, so we can walk across these guys. And I'm just gonna check his weapon really fast. Yes, it is Swirling Storm. Cool. Alrighty. Cool. Then we can come over here. There is a chest down here, very important. I believe it has a board on it, so that's really important. Again, I'm just trying to level up Swirling Storm here. I'm sort of deliberately doing nothing, just because I want him to level up his abilities. Oh, I should level mine up too. Just keep using Ramuh for him. Sorry, I mean to not say anything, just sort of a boring aspect of the game here. Alright, cool. So we got Ramuh form for Yuffie. Just let Sonon build up his ATB. Go ahead and use Swirling Storm again. Great. Cool. So Sonon now has Swirling Storm, which means we can change his weapon. So we can go to the Indurate staff, and then we can just put in some materia just to kind of be efficient here. MP up is always helpful. And then, I don't know, just level up lightning. So we do need to upgrade that weapon for Sonon, the Indurate staff. And Yuffie actually has some points as well to spend. So let's do that. Let's do attack power. Great. Okay, let's go to Yuffie. Oh, whoops. Doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm not gonna bother spending anything here. Go to Yuffie for the boomerang. In order to completely level a weapon, you do need to complete hard mode and get every single manuscript. And the manuscripts are basically... Oh, I actually have another 6 points. I thought I only had 4. The manuscripts will basically give you 10 SP per manuscript, and you get them in various ways. 7 of them are locked behind your Fort Condor opponents, so that does mean that you need to beat everyone in Fort Condor on hard mode in order to fully level up your weapons. Kind of sucks. Okay, so we just got the sweeper, which is... What? Oh, sorry, that's a 4 Condor unit. I was like, ranged weapon? What? Anywho. So that's where the sweeper is. So now that we've done that, we can go up this fireball. Okay. Alright, so we have some Shinra guards. These guys are weak to fire, so just be sure to cast your fire ninjutsu. I recommend taking out the elite security officer first. Just because he's got the old-fashioned shoddy boom body, he can deal massive damage if you're not careful. Okay, while you're up here, you want to toss a boomerang to hit this switch, and you want to do it while the third little dumpster thing is moving. And then that's going to open your path further into the level, but before we actually go through there, we're going to come down here and grab a piece of materia that's hidden in this little combat area. Okay, so we have some drakes. You know the drill. Go ahead and cast Wind Ninjutsu. And I gotta use Ramuh form a few times here. As well as Fighting Spirit. Oh, whoops, I didn't mean to synergize here. Oh, I think I definitely have mastered Ramuh form. I don't know what I'm doing. So that's that. And we can pick up the prayer materia. And then cast Cura with Magnify. Bounces it around. Gives you a better heal. Or an AoE heal, rather. And then we can move right along. Let's check something really fast. Yes, I have Ramuh form. And he still needs to level up Fighting Spirit. Cool. Go ahead and jump along these. Alright, very good. So Zhijie jumps down there. Just checking. Again, I move my camera around a lot just to kind of check for things. We're just going to follow him. Okay, so this little conveyor belt section is just a waste of time. It's padding, really. So I'm going to mute it because they talk while you're on here. But basically, you just want to throw your shuriken around, break open boxes, get any items. There's 2 of these sections, and they're quite long. Well, the second one's a lot longer than the first. But basically, it's just a way for you to like play a little mini game throwing your shuriken. It's nothing crazy. Oh, I forgot to get the Ramuh summon. I guess we'll do it later. It's not really that important. It helps for the boss, but it's really not that big of a deal. Okay. I can't believe I forgot to get that. Alright. That's really funny. Totally forgot. Okay, so this enemy here, weak to ice. Oops. So you want to keep using that. Cast Fighting Spirit so we can keep grinding that up. As you can see, it's going down pretty fast. I am just trying to be careful. So Rallying Cry summons additional Cripshay enemies, but if you can get them close enough to the boss here, we'll go ahead and let Sonon take care of that. Cool. So now Sonon has leveled up. And we get the Gozu drive. So this is a really cool piece of armor here. So the Chthonian armlet that we got from the Corneo lackeys, this is a piece of armor that if you equip it and you also use an accessory called a Gozu drive, and then there's another Gozu, the Meizu drive. Either the Gozu drive or the Meizu drive. The effect of the drives, basically a USB key, only works when you have a Chthonian armlet equipped. So if you're equipping the Chthonian armlet, highly recommend that you put in the Gozu drive to make it work. But we're not going to do that. The stats on it are pretty decent, though. So we're going to equip it anyway. Alright. Moving on. And I can't believe I forgot that Ramuh summon. That sucks. Okay, so we get another weapon here. Purple chest. This is the Steel Reaper for Yuffie. Come on, go away. Alright, so the Steel Reaper. This is the last weapon you get for Yuffie. Don't forget to upgrade it right away. And then this has a really strong ability called Banishment. Get your AP up. Mug is in the second sphere on this one. Okay, very good. Oh, I have way more points. I just did hard mode, so I just have those numbers in my head. So that's 8. And I'm actually going to leave it at that, because when we unlock the second core in a little bit, we're going to want to buy Mug right away. Alright, so we definitely want to take the first strike and put it back into this weapon. Great. Okay, so now we got to do some platforming, so we just walk along these little ledges here. And we get some more Shinra goons. Again, fire, really important. Oh, this guy goes down really fast. Go ahead and cast Banishment just to kind of get things moving here. Alright, great. Cool, so we can stop this conveyor belt here. Man, I'm like really annoyed about that Ramuh summon. I can't believe I forgot it. All good though. Alright, cool. Let's move through here, and then there's going to be quite a bit of platforming in this section, believe it or not, here in the storage depot. So the storage depot is a bit of a platforming puzzle of sorts. There's a switch in the middle that you need to hit multiple times to sort of move these climbing platforms. All right, so you got to hit these two switches, and then, all right. God, I love this music. It's so jazzy. Climb down here, and then jump off here. Okay, very good. So we're gonna come up here, and then there's gonna be a combat encounter here. And then I'm just gonna, again, I'm just using weapon skills to use them. Cool. Alright, and there's a chest over here, which contains a board, the Assassin 3 board. Oh, Wrathhound. Okay, so I have to explain something. The Wrathhound can pin you down. So it's very, very important that you kill it quickly, and the way to do that is using Wind Ninjutsu. You want to lift this thing off the ground. Oh, God. So luckily... Oh, yeah, that's a throat clamp. This thing can kill you so fast. Alright, so we got it pressured. That's good. It's very, very good. So once you get 2 ATB on each... Oh, damn, he used auto cure. I didn't want him to do that. I mean, it's helpful that he did, but I really didn't want him to do that. Alright, so we're just going to use Throw Clamp again. You can avoid it. It's tough, though. He runs forever. I just want to lift him off the ground one more time. Sort of get him into a bit of a stagger position here. As best we can. Alright, I'm actually going to manually cure. I guess we're going to do it again, because Sonon is just dying a lot. Oh my god, he died. Come on, dude. Alright, so luckily, we can use items on normal mode. Go ahead and use a Phoenix down on him. Ugh, god damn. It's like the hardest enemy in the area. I really kind of can't believe we didn't manage to get him earlier. Okay, so if Yuffie dies, Sonon will sacrifice himself and heal Yuffie almost oh, I guess it's based on his HP, believe it or not. I may want to restart this fight just because I have no more Phoenix downs. This kind of sucks. Let's go ahead and restart this fight. Sorry about that. Before we even get into it, I'm going to cure. I think that was part of my problem. Okay, cool. Let's try this again. Great, that was a perfect block. Okay, great. So now that we are doing that, we can fully lift this thing off the ground and kind of get it moving. Cast Synergize Windstorm again. This should give it a full stagger. Great. Alright, so now we can just sort of lean into it. Now I'm just trying to... Okay. Maybe just Synergize Art of War. It is getting up, which kind of sucks, but still deal decent damage. Oh, totally missed. Okay, so I snapped over here using triangle to retrieve my shuriken, knowing that Sonon's ATB was about to come up. This way we can synergize and use a Synergized Windstorm to pick it up again. And then we're going to unsynergize just so we can start building ATB. Luckily, yeah, this is what I was trying to do the whole time, was just get it off the ground. And then we can do another Synergized Windstorm. And then that should get really close to killing it. There you go. So that's the Wrathhound. It's basically a mini-boss, which is quite tough. Okay, so now we're basically in the area that I was describing earlier. The area where we need to start using the switch in the middle of the platforms. So we're going to hit this switch. That's going to turn this around. Oh, I guess we're not there yet? Okay, maybe not. So we come over here, and then... Is there materia up here? No. Sorry, I'm a little confused. Did I skip something? No, I didn't. Okay. Very good. Okay, so we're going to come up here and we're going to hit this switch now. And wherever you see, like, bent barriers, that's your key that, like, you need to hit a switch. It's just kind of the way it works. Yep. There you go. Alrighty. Yeah. So there's no more of those, like, really powerful wolves, but it's okay. It's always good to heal. So we got these guys now. And get your ice. Oh, God. Ugh, come on, buddy. Okay. Great. So we have the switch in the middle here. This is the one that I've been telling you about. So this switch controls all of the platforms around it. So we basically have to do like a little platforming challenge just to kind of get out of this area and to the boss. Alright. Also, so he's basically like giving a throwaway line here where he says those Splinter Cell guys, those are the ones we really need to be working with. And that's just like great foreshadowing for Yuffie because we know that she eventually goes and works with them. You know, it's just part of the story. You know, we came up here for a chest, and that gives us Turbo Ether. Okay. Anyway, yeah, there's like a lot of character development in that 2 seconds right there that's so easily missed. We learn that Yuffie is actually caring about these people in Avalanche and the people of Midgar. Sonon is very much like a absolutist. And Yuffie just disagrees. But it's just interesting character development. Okay, so we can flip that switch. Come on, walk up here. Come over here. And then we can hit the switch from up here. Very good. And then we can get to the middle platform and get that piece of materia that's sort of tucked in there. Great. Alright. Get the Orb of Elemental Materia, which allows you to equip, you can link it with any spell materia, and then your weapon will automatically deal bonus elemental damage of that element, but with elemental ninjutsu, it's kind of pointless. Okay, so we're over here now. And then we can come up here. Great, and that's the whole puzzle, so you did it. Then we can come down here, and then we have another little mini-boss. It is weak to fire, so just keep that in mind. There's the waste disposal plant. Go ahead and cure Yuffie, just to be safe. There is a bench after this mini-boss, so don't worry about like curing afterward. Okay, so go ahead and do Fire Ninjutsu. And then, as you can see there, that is its weakness. So this is the Levercron. Oops. Not what I wanted. Let's go ahead and just use Synergize Windstorm to try to deal some damage to it. But, yeah, so we're building it up now. Building up the stagger. We're almost there. It's basically half dead at this point. It has a rock. Look out. Okay, so that's that. Go ahead and synergize, and then use your Synergize Windstorm. And just keep mashing square, and it goes down. Cool, so we got a level 29 Yuffie and a level 28 Sonon. And like I said, don't bother healing using any materia, because there is a bench coming up in a second. Let's climb this ladder, and then we have another really big kind of conveyor belt minigame moment. And so we get a note from Zhijie, which is in our key items. It says, conveyor belt passes through storage, break containers with shuriken, screw over Shinra, get to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the conveyor belt, and then I'm actually going to mute my mic and go get a drink while the conveyor belt goes. And then I may just I'm going to have my controller in my hand. I'm going to be pressing triangle just to try to get things, but I'll be back in a moment. Okay, I'm back. I've been dying for water for like the past hour. I started this guide being like, I don't need to fill up my big Mets cup with water. I'm good. Nope. Dying over here. Alright, so we're just throwing our shuriken, getting items. I don't know why this takes so long. This just feels like very unnecessary, but it's part of the game. And this one's fun because you gotta try to weave in between things, which isn't too hard. Even though it has obstructed, that's kind of when you want to throw it. Otherwise it hits an obstacle. Then it's hard to time because you're so close. Anyway, that's... Oh, right, there's one more big part here. So basically, we're gonna, like, open these gates. And then we just, try to catch things as they're falling, which is hilarious. This whole game is just, like, one weird thing after another. Anyway, let's keep going. You get some items, but I don't really use items that much just because I'm so used to playing on hard difficulty. It's not a humble brag or anything. It's just the game is, like, truly balanced around hard mode. And you can't use items in hard mode, so it's like, well, why put them in the game at all? Alright, so that is the final conveyor belt. Come up here. Oh, I broke 72 small boxes. And then we just sort of run across here. So this is the building they're talking about. Pillar maintenance, but we will soon find out that it is not pillar maintenance at all. Alrighty. So there's a piece of materia over here. Go ahead and grab that. I think it's an HP up or something like that. Magic up. Great. So once you do that, we can come over here. Walk up this little thing here. And we're gonna head into the factorium. Okay. A lot of guards. Big factory setting. Yeah, Sonon susses it out for what it really is. And it's a factory, it's not actually maintenance. Despite all the guards, though, we can just walk past them all. They're not really there, in a sense. Let's go ahead and pick up this lightning materia. We will rest, and then we can fight the boss. Now, again, I don't have the Ramuh summon, so this is not... It's going to take me a little bit longer. Ramuh does so much damage to this boss. It's not even funny. Okay, so let's go ahead and buy every, like, limited item, just for the sake of it. Yeah, and then... I'm okay on all this, really. I don't... Let's buy 2 heavy-duty bracers. And then... supernatural wrist guards. Yeah. Okay, great. Cool. Let's go ahead and equip all that. Oh man, it gives... What do I have equipped here? First strike. Go to heavy duty. Studded. Heavy duty. First strike. I guess parry. Okay, cool. So the boss that we're going to fight is the Gigantipede, and it's basically a machine centipede. It's weak to lightning-based attacks, so that's why Ramuh is really, really a good idea to have, but I sort of botched it and didn't get it. We see Zhijie in the distance there, but lightning ninjutsu is just fine, and the limit breaks should be enough to carry us over. So we're going to skip the cutscene. we get right into the boss, and hey, Yuffie looks like she did in the original game. So let's go ahead and cast Lightning Ninjutsu, and you want to keep an eye on that because there's a couple cutscenes in this fight, and those cutscenes will reset your ninjutsu, so you gotta be careful. But as you can see, we are slowly but surely building up the boss's stagger meter, and it allows us to fight from a distance, which is helpful. I guess. Cast Windstorm just to kind of try to get a little bit more damage, but unfortunately the boss is like immune to certain kinds of attacks. I should just go ahead and assess, this way you can like see. So the head is susceptible to physical, and the tail is susceptible to lightning. Lightning rapidly fills its stagger gauge, so you want to just work on the tail. And its long-range attack accuracy increases when its containment laser finds a target. So you just got to keep that in mind. Alright, so we're just trying to... Oh, God. Come on, dude. I can't always tell when she's, like, retrieving the shuriken on her own. You can never, like, time that correctly. But... Alright, so... I'm just doing that to try to build the stagger meter. I'm actually not even sure if that's working. Nah, not really. Alright, so the Gigantipede is luckily just focusing on Sonon, which is really helpful. And I'm just gonna sort of set him loose on the head just to deal some decent damage. Alright, so the boss is running away. This is a good time to cast a Cure spell, just to sort of top everybody off and get a great view of Yuffie. I mean, her sweater looks insane. You can, like, see the threads on it. Alright, so the Gigantipede is going to crawl around this little scaffolding here. And then it is going to launch some drones. So, no big deal, though. It's going to deploy the drones. Just go ahead and lock on so we can quickly switch. And then just use your lightning ninjutsu. Okay, luckily we were able to avoid the missiles there, just kind of by sheer luck. Nope, never mind. Didn't realize there was one behind me. Alright, cool. So, Gigantipede is going to make his way around again. Go ahead and cure back up. And do a death dive where it lashes its tail onto another scaffolding and just literally swings over to you, which is hilarious. Okay, so there goes the body blow. And again, just sick Sonon on the head. Should get it focused here. Yeah, pressured here in a second. And then I'm trying to just build ATB as quickly as I can. So we can synergize and use a synergized windstorm on the head. Okay, yeah, I was afraid that was going to happen. So this is just a cutscene for the fight. So basically the head's going to come apart and reveal the drill. So now we just kind of have to really keep our distance. But we've dealt so much damage to it and actually have a fully charged banishment. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to get close. Oh, it's deploying drones. All right, you absolutely want to take care of the drones first. Okay, cool. So now that we have the banishment, I'm just going to cure really fast for safety. And then I'm going to go up to the tail. Ugh, come on, drones. And then we're going to use a fully charged lightning banishment on the tail. It's going to deal a ton of damage. It's going to give Yuffie her limit. Go ahead and bloodbath on the head. I don't think this is going to kill. It might, but I doubt it. Actually, I think it will. No, so close. So with Sonon, go ahead and just put Fighting Spirit on the head, and then it'll go down. And that's it. So that is the Gigantipede. Not too hard. Ramuh makes the fight a lot of fun, but it'll go down with lightning ninjutsu, no problem. Alright, so we're going to skip the cutscene, and it will load us back into the Sector 7 slums. So, our mission now is to just leave. This is your time to sort of wrap up. If you leave here, you will not be able to come back, so just please keep that in mind. What we're going to do, though, is we're going to go ahead and get the Ramuh summon from the VR mission. Ramuh is a lightning-based enemy, so he is weak to wind, so just use wind ninjutsu. And any wind-based attacks, such as Synergized Windstorm. And he'll go down pretty quick. Alright, so 11 arrows you just want to get away from, because he'll sort of shock the ground, and then you'll get stuck in those. Just get your wind ninjutsu. He can also teleport. Yep, there he goes. Alright, so we are going to use a Synergized Windstorm right away, since we know he's going to stand still for a second. And then the lightning strikes you can actually see on the ground as he's doing them. Summon Sparks, he basically just summons ads, which have to be... Oh, god damn. Sorry, you sort of get stuck on him sometimes, and it's like really annoying. Oh, it's because I'm synergized. I'm a dummy. Also, standing still against him is like just a gigantic mistake. Okay, so that's one. Go ahead and take care of the other one. Unfortunately, they move, so like you gotta kind of keep up with them. Oh, and he's also doing this big AoE attack here. That is actually really easy to avoid. It does not cover the entire screen. It covers most of the screen, so you can just run away from it. Alright. So the orbiting wand does a lot of damage. God damn it, Sonon. What is Solaris? Oh, it's haste. Interesting. Alright. So let's go ahead and cure Sonon. Yeah, because he's going to cast 11 arrows, and he's probably just going to stand in it like a dummy. Sfelchen. Alright. We're getting there. Let him come over to us again. Cast a secure Circuitous Bolt. And then we can just stand here. See how it's not actually hitting me? So that allows us to literally just stand here. And then let's give Sonon's Limit Break over. And then that should really kind of do it here. And that's Ramuh. We didn't get him staggered. That's okay, though. Sometimes you just can't get into a good position for it. But he's weak to wind. So just wait until you get Sonon in your party. Then you can take him down really easily. And don't forget to equip that summon with Yuffie. And then spend all of your upgrade points that you got from the factory and Gigantipede and everything. And that's core number 2. So we're going to see what's in there. Which is Thievery. Great. Mug is important. And then you want that new Materia slot. Perfect. Oh, that just linked me. Damn. Oh well, that's quite alright. Okay, so that's the Steel Reaper. Do the same thing with Sonon. You'll get a third weapon for Sonon in Chapter 2. So just keep that in mind. And then I just go for attack power right away. Again, you can't fully level these weapons up until you finish the game on hard mode and do everything. So, like, these weapons will be incomplete when you finish normal mode. Just keep that in mind. So you want to be smart with prioritizing different stats. Just keep that in mind. Okay, but that's basically going to do it for Chapter 1 here. We have completed all of these side quests. We've completed the Chapter 1 main quest. And so I'm going to end the walkthrough here. I will not sort of spoil what Chapter 2 is or what happens or anything. in this guide, because this guide is for Chapter 1 only. Okay, so yeah, we'll end it here. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll do another one of these walkthroughs for Chapter 2, and then that'll be the end of it. If you're looking for any specific guides, check them out in the playlist. For Intergrade, I have guides for every boss, and those guides, those strategies carry over into hard mode. But yeah, and then any for Condor opponents, the mini games, whatever you need, it's all there. But that's it. Okay. Yeah, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment. I'll do my best to help you out. If you're looking for more guides for Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, please subscribe to the channel so you get alerted when new guides go live. If you're interested in supporting the channel monetarily, please consider becoming a channel member by clicking the blue join button below this video. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and on Twitch, and as always, I'm Sweet Johnny Cage. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.